natural for stronger immunity, enhanced focus, increased energy and stamina. BioStrath. Get what you need naturally.
Time check. Brought to you by BioStrath Immune with added zinc. Distributed by H&J Enterprises Limited.
The radar may be gone, but the Prime Minister says the United States continues to assist Trinidad and Tobago, this time with advanced passenger screening. 1 week after his murder, Danny Guerra hailed as a pillar of Sangre Grande and possibly the mastermind behind the winning Toco Sangre Grande campaign. Suspected arson leaves a family of 7, including 5 small children, without a home.
Coming up in sport, Jareen Richards produces a season best run to claim bronze at the World Athletics Indoor Championships.
Good evening, I'm Kijan Haynes, and this is the weekend news here on CNC3. Eid Mubarak to all of our viewers. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar says the United States is assisting Trinidad and Tobago with the rollout of an advanced passenger screening system aimed at identifying potential threats before they enter the country. The news comes as, she says, the radar served the country well. The Prime Minister shared the update after Eid ul-Fitr celebrations in Charleville. Jesse Ramdeo and Gary Vincent have the story.
The United States is assisting Trinidad and Tobago with the development of infrastructure to complement an advanced passenger screening system that will allow authorities to identify potential threats even before travelers arrive in the country,
so that we can know the good guys are coming in, the bad ones are coming in.
Speaking with CNC3 News following Eid ul-Fitr celebrations on Saturday at the Maracas Al Asja Jamaat, Persad-Bissessar says legislation to support the system will be coming to Parliament.
The APIS legislation, which is the Advanced Passenger Information Service, when we link these together, even before you land, we can have a clear idea whether there's a good guy or a bad guy.
She says the country continues to collaborate closely with the U.S. authorities on several security initiatives, including new systems aimed at strengthening border control.
When you land, by that point we will have online, we could have information which the U.S. agreed to help us with.
Meanwhile, in addressing concerns surrounding the recent removal of the U.S.-operated radar system in Tobago, Persad-Bissessar says it served well, but was needed elsewhere.
We were lucky to have it the time we have it. They need it for their own use. As you know, they're on another front and they probably need it for that purpose. But it did serve us well.
Recently, the opposition People's National Movement raised concerns over what it described as troubling lack of transparency over the government's handling of the U.S. military radar that was installed in Tobago last year. The Prime Minister also defended the current state of emergency, noting that while murders have dropped significantly, more work is needed. Jesse Ramdeo, CNC3 News.
Defense Minister Wayne Sturge has not answered direct questions as to the extent murdered businessman Danny Guerra played in his winning election campaign. But Sangre Grande residents and one of Guerra's close friends tells Shaniza Hassan Ali and cameraman Roger Jacob his work to secure the Toco Sangre Grande seat cannot be erased.
It has been alleged that businessman Danny Guerra was the mastermind behind the MP for Toco Sangre Grande's game-changing win in the 2025 general election. That candidate is Defense Minister Wayne Sturge. A close friend of Guerra says not only did he provide essential ground support, but he also directly contributed to Sturge's campaign success. This friend, Nigel Tania, says Guerra was dedicated to the UNC's campaign and used his strong influence to drive constituents to support the then opposition party. Tania is the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Aggregate Producers Alliance, of which Guerra was a member. He recalled that early in the campaign, things were sluggish. However, Guerra's presence and position reshaped the election race, even becoming the face of Sturge's campaign.
In typical Danny style, when he started to woo the crowd on, to join him and what he believed was the right thing for Toco Grande as a constituency. then you could see the tide turn and you could see the crowds coming out.
Sturge ended up defeating PNM's candidate Roger Monroe by over 2,300 votes. But Tanya says he cautioned Guerra about his open support of the election campaign.
As a businessman, it's okay to fund a campaign. You don't take the backseat. Everybody don't know, have to know where your cards are.
He did not listen. On March 13th, Guerra was shot multiple times by 2 gunmen while seated in his van, which was parked at his Sandi Grandi business. Guerra was the owner of DG Group of Companies, which builds residential homes. Asked if Guerra expected something in return for supporting and financing the campaign,
Danny would have been a fool to not expect something. And I know he's not a fool.
Tanya said Guerra believed in the UNC's campaign promises and wanted a better life for constituents.
And so I know he would have banked his money on some of these promises that would have been made to his constituents. And I guess to him as an individual, this is how we see Toco Grande being developed. This is how we see the youths of Toco Grande, because he was big on youths. He was big on youths and shaping the way they think. So I know one of the things that he would have been making certain of is how we're going to deal, how we're going to treat the youths at Toco Grande.
Touted as one of the wealthiest businessmen in the northeast of Trinidad, Guerra's heart and soul was planted in Sandi Grande, starting from North Oropouche Road, where he was born and where he lived. When CNC3 News visited the area, residents were too scared to talk on camera about the assassination. But off camera, they described Guerra as the gravel king and quarry boss. They expressed sorrow at his killing, saying Guerra was loved and respected by all. They called him a pillar of their tranquil community, as a man who came from humble beginnings and worked his way to the top. His murder was the last thing they expected. But last November, Guerra had been detained by a preventative detention order for an alleged plot to assassinate Defense Minister Wayne Sturge. Shaliz Asnali, CNC3 News.
The Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago says despite heightened anti-crime operations under the SOE, the authority has not observed any increase in minors being detained during police operations. It follows questions raised over the recent detention of a 16-year-old boy. The teenager is currently being held at the Youth Training and Rehabilitation Center under a PDO. In response to queries from Guardian Media, the authority explained children placed under a detention order are held at YTC separate from adult offenders. They are entitled to legal representation and they are assigned to a caseworker from the Children's Authority. They are also allowed to maintain contact with family through phone calls and scheduled visits and have access to medical care, education programs, and a psychologist. Former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has criticized the Telecommunication Authority for reviewing the media's coverage of his Jamet comment, and he questions why the regulator had not acted similarly for political controversies in the past. Rowley suggested that TAT's response reflects a trend of media suppression seen abroad. He also questioned TAT's apparent inaction over remarks made by Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar. The former Prime Minister says he was defending himself against an allegation that Balize House had been built with drug money. He criticized Persad-Bissessar's past conduct in Parliament and argued that he was justified in responding outside of Parliament. TAT says it is reviewing the matter and reminded broadcasters of their obligations under their concessions, which forbid content that degrades or discriminates against any person or group. TAT said it would take action if a breach is found. Land and Legal Affairs Minister Saddam Hussein is stressing the government has not implemented its higher fees for transfer of HDC homes. In February, a controversy arose when the HDC announced a new policy introducing transfer fees for properties, including a proposed 5 to 10% fee for transfers within families, instead of the previous flat rate of $700. Even though Housing Minister David Lee said the fee was on hold, calls to our newsroom and some social media comments have said they are still being told the fee exists at the HDC. Now, speaking on Thursday at the post-cabinet media briefing, the Land and Legal Affairs Minister sought to put the issue to rest.
The issue of the HGC inheritance, whatever they're calling it, and that 10%, I think the Minister of Housing would have addressed that in the Parliament. I think he placed very clearly on the record the government's position on that. If any person are being charged this fee, I think they could probably present the information to the Minister of Housing and it can be dealt with accordingly.
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku says teachers will not receive their back pay by month end, even as revised salaries have already begun to reach educators. In recent weeks, Tutors President Crystal Ash urged the government to expedite the process, calling for additional resources to ensure teachers receive both their salaries and back pay without further delay. The minister says he will inquire into Ash's claims that the Tobago teachers will not be receiving their revised salaries this month. He suggested union officials were aware of the timeline for arrears and reiterated the government's commitment to honoring its obligations. The finance minister also took aim at the former People's National Movement administration, accusing it of finalizing agreements without putting systems in place to implement them. Tutors President has since called on the minister to engage the union directly. And on the back of that story, we ask, is it fair for the government to ask other unions to hold strain when the PSA received their money?
I do not think it is okay or fair. I think it should be granted across the board.
No, because if they're doing the same amount of work, then I would expect them to also get paid.
I think it's unfair, you know. Give the people there what they deserve because of the promises that you all give.
I don't think it's fair because that is what was promised on the campaign trail, and a promise made is a promise kept. It cannot be your promise you're gonna pay and then pay some and not pay the others.
No, I don't agree with that because everybody work and everybody deserve their money, right? And second to that, the politicians and them get them own without no hustle. So give we own without a hustle too.
With that, we take a break. We'll be right back.
Plumbing problems? Don't guess. Call Plumbing Solutions at 628-4646. Proud to be serving Trinidad and Tobago for over 20 years. We do it all. Maintenance and repairs, new construction, sewer lines, inspection, drain cleaning, leak detection. We are licensed and insured, so call Plumbing Solutions at 628-4646.
Struggling with blood sugar swings, high blood pressure, or stiff joints? Take control with Aja Nutrition's powerful wellness trio. Berberine Plus supports healthy blood sugar. Blood pressure support helps keep your pressure in check. And Joint Aid keeps your joints moving so you can stay active every day. Don't wait. Choose Aja Nutrition for trusted, effective solutions. Available at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Feel better, move better, live better with Aja Nutrition.
This town isn't as safe as it used to be. You remember that laundromat that burnt down? We offered protection, but they refused.
So you're telling me that if I pay you, you'll protect me from... Gentlemen, I think you've been watching too many cheap American soaps.
Westwood Park, Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. only on CNC3.
Welcome back. A family of 7 is now homeless after a fire which some believe was maliciously set. Among the homeless are 5 children who range age from 3 years old to 12. Their parents, Allison McCarthy and Gregory Zamore, expressed frustrations. The fire reduced everything they owned to ash. McCarthy says there were threats made days before the blaze.
It's an ongoing thing for a period of time, so it's just a matter of time somebody would have just do something. That's the most I could say. My husband and uncle was living in this house a couple of years ago and he went missing from this very said house just so, and they never find him up to this day. So I don't really know what to make out of everything.
A report has been made to the police. Superior Mayor Dutnath Meru says the couple and their 5 children are now at a shelter as the investigation continues.
On Monday morning, as you know, this is a weekend, we will try to make contact with the Minister of Social Development, and there's the book grant, the clothes grant, and so on, and these small grants that can put them back on their feet a little bit. And then we have to look at the land tenure issue here, because Ministry will not give any grant if the land doesn't have proper tenure. So we will have to do some research to find out whether they have legality on the land.
Anyone wanting to assist the family can call 304-4846. Now, despite international reports that a tanker carrying fuel originally bound for Cuba on Friday changed its destination to Trinidad and Tobago, ship trackers record the vessel is actually heading to Venezuela. According to multiple ship trackers online, the Hong Kong-flagged vessel Seahorse is now heading to Puerto Cabello, west of the Venezuelan capital Caracas. They estimate its arrival at the Venezuelan port on Tuesday. International news agency Reuters had reported on Friday the vessel was heading to Trinidad and Tobago, according to ship tracking data. Life for fishermen in Cedros is slowly returning to normal following earlier tensions between the United States and Venezuela in the southern Caribbean. But in the fishing village of Icacos and Cedros, fisherman Colin Gillair says geopolitical storm never changed his day-to-day reality. He says he continued to work close to the shore, far from the areas where fears of military escalation had been raised. He insists the concerns about warships and regional conflict had little to do with his livelihood in the coastal waters of Trinidad. He says the sea remains local and risk he faced never changed.
That problem with Venezuela and America has nothing to do with me. Because I fishing close shore. I fishing about 200-300 feet away from the shore. I fishing right in front of just here, in Caracas. And after yesterday, the same place that I talking about, man, drunk man, boat sink, things happen. You must be about that by now, right? So that warship come in Trinidad, they have nothing to do with me.
But others describe a very different reality at sea. One Cedros fisherman tells us the fear of criminal activity still shapes how and when he goes offshore.
Still scared. Why? Mafia, bandit, going pirate. People just take chances, eh? They take chances, huh? But not me. I ain't going.
And while they may be divided on whether regional tensions changed anything for them in the water, they agree that the security at sea remains an ongoing concern, one that matters much more to them than any foreign conflict. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar expressed pride in the freedom of religious observances in Trinidad and Tobago compared with other parts of the world. Speaking during Eid celebrations today, she said the Muslim community plays a key role in shaping the nation's identity and unity. She described the community as an integral part of the country, adding that shared values of compassion, charity, and faith continue to strengthen national cohesion.
They are very important to Trinidad and Tobago. And whilst it may be that in other parts of the world, there are people who at this time have not been able to celebrate Eid, we are very blessed in Trinidad and Tobago that we had this large gathering here.
Reflecting on the end of Ramadan, Persad-Bissessar says while Eid is a time of joy, it can also bring a sense of sadness as families and communities conclude a period of close bonding. However, she encouraged Muslims to carry forward the spirit of unity and compassion cultivated during the holy month.
So when the month came to an end, you have to go back home now. You don't have that bonding, but you can continue that work and that love and compassion as you share with each other.
The Prime Minister also called on citizens to continue their commitment to prayer, warning that a society without faith risks losing its direction. And former Public Utilities Minister Nizam Bakhsh is urging global peace as Muslims celebrate Eid following Ramadan. Speaking at the Barakpur Islamic Center, Bakhsh said Eid isn't just a time for celebration, but an opportunity to strengthen unity within the Muslim community and beyond. He says despite differences in religion or nationality, citizens remain members shared humanity and prioritized peace over conflict. He also expressed concern about ongoing global tensions involving the U.S., Israel, and Iran.
We offer prayers and so on that there be peace throughout the world for humanity all over the world. And it takes a little time, but what is happening really is so sad to see human beings being destroyed, those helpless human beings being destroyed by all the arms and ammunition and, like some of our world leaders. I don't know if I could say that they're not humans again.
He also warned that even small nations must stay vigilant and monitor global developments. Spiritual Baptists were denied approval to hold a planned march in San Fernando, but they will begin a week of prayer starting tomorrow. King Shepherd Ray Braffett, head of the National Congress of the Incorporated Spiritual Baptist Organizations, says the group had planned prayers and a march from the Baptist Monument on Carib Street. However, he says they could not secure police permission for the march. Despite the setback, members held a wayside service on the Harris Promenade to launch their week of events commemorating the 75th anniversary of the repeal of the 1917 Shelter Prohibition Ordinance.
We were supposed to have had a prayer at the Baptist Monument at Carib Street, but we did not get the police permission. And I don't know if it's our fault or they, right? But we didn't get the permission, and therefore we came here and celebrated. Said. I think that is what we were told. That because of the SOE, we are unable to have the parade.
Southern Division Superintendent Richard Bertie says permission was denied because the request was submitted late on Thursday with less than 24 hours before the event, leaving insufficient time for route inspections and other security assessments. All right, still to come in sport, West Indies women aiming for a more polished all-round performance when they take on Australia women in this evening's second T20 International.
Visit Tire Clinic Marketing, New Truck and OTR Tire Service Center at number 30 and 32 Montrose Main Road, Chabonas. Call today at 665-8973 or 672-3419. Alignment services available. Tire Clinic Marketing, Truck and OTR Service Center. A tire for every need.
The moment my children came into my life, I do everything I can for them to live healthy, enjoyable lives. Nature's Ways Alive Kids Gummies are multivitamin gummies meant to support the development of children's bodies. They come in delicious fruit flavors and contain natural plant-based pectin. This means that if I am looking for an alternative to animal-based gelatin for personal reasons, they are the best choice for my little ones. Choose Alive Kids Gummies by Nature's Way for your children because they deserve it.
All right, let's start on the track. Trinidad and Tobago's Jareem Richards produced a season-best run to claim bronze in the men's 400 meters at the World Athletics Indoor Championship in Poland. Richards first booked his place in the final on Friday, finishing third in his semi-final heat in 45.87 seconds. Despite leading at the 300-meter mark, he was overtaken late by Canada's Christopher Williams, but still advanced as one of the fastest qualifiers. In Saturday's final, Richards stepped up impressively, clocking 45.39 seconds in a strong performance from lane 3. He finished third behind Williams, who stormed to gold in a championship record 44.76, while USA's Caleb McRae took silver in 45.03. Let's take a look.
No issues in the start here for this second final in the men's 400 metres. Jareem Richards, Mission Impossible in Tokyo from lane 2. He took the silver medal. It was a world record, ran from lane 2, the fastest time ever on one of those tight lanes. And the Trinidad and Tobago is going to have to do something similar here. But he's given way. Caleb McRae alongside Christopher Morales Williams. McRae 20.74 through the first 200. That is so quick. Too quick, only time will tell. Morales Williams already starting to battle this fatigue. The Lattit, the Canadian, just holding off Jareem Richards of Trinidad and Tobago. But Caleb McRae, 44.52 this season. He's coming under pressure from Morales Williams. The Canadian snatches it on the line, 44.76.
All right, Still, congratulations there. Cricket now. West Indies women will be looking for a stronger, more complete performance when they face Australia women in the second T20 International this evening, following a 43-run defeat in the series opener. The Caribbean side showed glimpses of promise in the first match, particularly with the bat through Kiana Joseph and Stephanie Taylor, but will need greater consistency and partnership if they are to challenge the world champions. Captain Hayley Matthews remains key to their chances, both with the bat and ball, while the bowling unit led by Deandra Doughton and Chanel Henry must tighten up after conceded too many extras in the previous outing. And to football, Defence Force moved closer to retaining the TT Premier League title with a dominant 6-0 win over FC Eagles. Kevin Molino struck twice early to set the pace, with Keithon St-Hilaire and Jovan Jones extending the lead before halftime. Tristan Hodge and Rivaldo Coriat added second-half goals to complete the rout. Defence Force now sit 49 points, 4 clear at the top, and need just one more win to secure the title. In the other match, Dorel Garcia scored a second-half hat-trick to lead Sawa Jablote to a 4-1 comeback over AC Port of Spain. Kelly Simmons' story is one of perseverance, inner strength, and the importance of family and community support. On this 19th World Down Syndrome Day, Samaki Felician brings us this piece on one extraordinary young woman.
Special Olympian, panist, equestrian, special advocate. Kelly Simmons has built a life filled with passion, achievement, and purpose. The 33-year-old athlete who lives with Down syndrome competed in equestrian at the 2019 Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi, earning 4 fourth-place finishes for this country. She also traveled to Germany in 2023 for the Special Olympics World Games, continuing her journey as part of TNT's presence on the world stage. For Simmons, sport has become much more than competition. It has been a source of confidence, discipline, and pride.
I've been exercising, working, playing pan with invaders.
From an early age, Simmons' life was shaped by activity. Swimming, lawn tennis, football, cricket, gymnastics, and dance all helped to build the coordination and determination that would later support her athletic journey. That path eventually led her to equestrian, where years of training and commitment opened the door to representing her country on the world stage. Born in Barbados and diagnosed with Down syndrome at just 6 weeks old, Simmons was encouraged from childhood to stay active, explore her talents, and believe in her abilities.
We followed her journey in terms of achieving milestones that were normal for children of her age. Anything we saw that was slipping, we would tend to get another professional to see how we could assist her in being able to better meet those milestones.
Today, Simmons' story is a reminder that athletes of all abilities can excel with sufficient support and when their potential is nurtured. And while her accomplishments now stretch beyond sport into music and advocacy, her journey in competition continues to inspire.
Enjoy your life and just enjoy friends.
On World Down Syndrome Day, Kelly Simmons stands as an example of perseverance, pride, and possibility, an athlete whose story continues to exceed expectation. Samaki Felician, CNC3 Sport.
That's a really nice story to take us into the break. We'll be right back.
Dress like you mean business. At The Working Woman, we bring you stylish, professional looks made for the modern woman. From casual to formal workwear, we've got your professional wardrobe covered.
Come, I'm going to take you upstairs. I'm going to fix you up. And when Mr. Hubert comes, I'm going to tell him.
Tell me what?
Oh, Miss Pamela only had one drink, sir.
I'll make some coffee. I want to be alone with my wife.
Your wife? That's a good joke.
So you've been telling our business to Myrna?
Watch TNT's hit soap opera, Westwood Park, Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. only on CNC3.
Tonight, the Met Office says generally hot and sunny conditions can be expected with a low chance of isolated showers. Tomorrow's maximum forecast temperature in Trinidad is 31 degrees, while Tobago will experience a high of 30 degrees Celsius. Seas are moderate with waves near 2 meters in open waters and below 1 meter in sheltered areas. And that's how we end tonight's newscast. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back here tomorrow at the same time.
You're watching CNC3.